What's up, everyone? This is Kronos, aka Adam, back with my NXT Takeover in your house recap and review. NXT Takeover took place last night. It was a really fun show. Not their best, but I mean, it's really hard to do that when takeovers usually set a very high bar, and obviously, with everything that's been going on in the world, that with no crowd and. But overall, I think they did a really good job, built on the nostalgia of the event. Some good matches, some matches that were a little disappointing, but, overall it was really good. I actually did very good in my predictions. I did basically as best as you possibly can with losing a match, because the only match I lost, I had one confidence point on it, because I was very unsure, and who I wanted to win actually won, as opposed to who I thought was going to win. So I'm going to go through each match, kind of give the recap of the match and my thoughts. That's my phone. Let's see. Unnecessary. So I'm going to go through all that. As always, my social media is down there. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that other stuff. Nobody's really watching, so this is just for me, but who cares? So we're going to go through all the matches. Okay, I think I might have stopped the recording and started it again, so if you see a quick cut, that's what happened, because I hit the wrong button. Alright, so our first match, I did like to start off. I did, as I expected them to do. They did the house set, which was really cool, bringing us back to the 90s. They even got Todd Pettengill back from old WWE and being part of all those events. They even did like a retro introduction, which was pretty cool. So the first match is the Shotzi, Mia, Tegan versus Candice, Dakota, Raquel Gonzalez match. So we got Raquel Gonzalez kind of looking like a mix of both Chyna and Sonya Deville. I actually really like the look. So she starts out bodying Mia and Tegan around. We get Dakota and Tegan back in the ring, doing a lot of back and forth, kind of renewing that rivalry. We get Dakota with a scorpion kick on Shotzi Blackheart for a 2 count. Shotzi does a question mark kick on Candice. That she then goes for a suicide dive on the outside, but Raquel Gonzalez, and this scenario actually sequence of events was really cool. Shotzi goes for a suicide dive. Raquel catches her and tosses her out. Then Mia goes for the same suicide dive, ends up connecting on Dakota and Raquel. Candice then comes in, does a springboard crossbody on everybody, and then Tegan Knox goes to the top and does a Molly go around, which is like a front flip somersault off the top, and then connects with everyone as well. So it was just bang, 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 really cool. We then get back in the ring. Shotzi hits this like butterfly bridge submission move on Candice. Dakota breaks that up. We then get Shotzi with the hot tag to Mia. Mia does a dragon bridge suplex on Candice for a 2 count. Goes for a soul food, but is countered into a suplex. Tegan goes for a Rana on Raquel, but countered into a powerbomb for a 2 count. Mia and Candice start fighting in the ring, out of the ring, and they go all the way to the back, so they are no longer part of the match, so it's now just a regular tag match. Neither was the legal person, so there was no count out. We then get Dakota kicks Raquel Gonzalez by accident, and then there's an assisted sliced bread on Raquel from Shotzi and Tegan. And then Tegan, while Raquel is knocked out of the ring, hits the shiniest wizard on Dakota Kai for the win. So in that match, I had the faces winning. I had 4 confidence points because I was pretty confident, even though I wanted the heels to win because I thought that would have extended the feud a little better. I felt that the faces were going to win, and they did, so that was 4 points. Alright, so then our next match, so then we get the old school WWE ice cream sandwich commercial. It was actually good to see Eric Bugenhagen screaming. We haven't seen him on WWE TV in a while. We get a quick shot of Rhea Ripley backstage. We then get a dynamite match, no pun intended, with AEW, of Finn Balor versus Damian Priest. Priest's pants kind of remind me of like the old Bruce Beefcake, because there was like see-through parts to it. It was really weird because he's always in black, and this time he rocked the white, maybe just because it was TakeOver. Kind of looked a little bit like Rhea Ripley type pants, but so we get Finn early from right before the bell starts, hits the drop kick. He then goes for a chop block, trying to take the big man down. Back on the outside, Finn is sent into the stairs. Priest sets up powerbomb. He sets up the bottom half of the steps, like pulls off the top half, pulls out the bottom half, and then actually uses it to jump off that to slam Finn onto the apron for like extra height and leverage. Then he hits like this spike flatliner on Finn that just looks absolutely brutal. They went to a replay on it, just looked really good. He goes for a razor's edge. Finn reverses, and then Priest reverses that into a broken arrow, which is basically just his version of the Falcon Arrow. We get a double stomp by Finn, where he's like standing on Priest's chest for a second. Looked pretty rough. We get a crescent kick by Priest, and then a Pele kick by Finn. Kind of counters with that for a 2 count. Goes for a raise. Then they're fighting on the outside. Priest hits a razor's edge on the apron, which looked rough. Throws him back into the ring for a 2 count. Priest does two 360 roundhouse kicks. Then he goes for his reckoning attempt, but it's countered. Finn goes for a coup de grace. Priest hits a super choke slam while he's up on the top rope from the second rope, but he only gets a 2 count. He then goes for another razor's edge attempt while he's on the apron. Finn breaks out of that, hits him with a forearm so hard that he actually flies off and lands on the bottom half of the steps that were set up earlier, but he lands on the corner of it. Super loud sound, looked rough, looked really, really bad. Took a huge bump there. Luckily, he was able to finish the match. So then we get a coup de grace on Priest's back, and then when he's on the ground, Finn goes for a second one for the win. So Finn wins this, as I predicted. I had 6 confidence points. This was my second most confident match. I actually had 5 points on this one, so I got that, and that's who I wanted to win. I think Damian Priest made himself look like absolute $1,000,000 here. I mean, it's just unfortunate because right now he's kind of in that spot where he just picks fights with people but never finishes off the feud. So we'll see where they go with that. Interesting point at the end where he was in the corner. Like kind of down and sitting in the corner, and Finn kind of gives him the gun point, and he kind of does his like archer, like kind of. I didn't know if it was a sign of respect or what, but it actually got cut off by the cameras, like as he was starting to go for it. I don't know what that means going forward, so we'll see. There was a old school Ico Pro, which hold on, Ico Pro. Yeah, so it was kind of like a bodybuilding, like professional. I think it was like bodybuilding and stuff, and there were products with it associated with it. But they did. They used to be like one of the big sponsors back in the day, so they did kind of like a mock commercial with Adam Cole. Baby. We'll get to that match a little later. So then we get a quick backstage shot of Io getting ready. We then get the North American title match of Keith Lee versus Johnny Gargano. So Johnny is actually in the inside of the home set, which is pretty funny. So there's a pic of Michael Hayes, Doc Hendricks, kind of like gives it like a thumbs up, changes the thermostat, locks the door, and puts the key in his trunks, foreshadowing. He actually is rocking some Mandalorian type gear, so I appreciated that. He's a big Marvel Disney guy. So obviously in the beginning, Johnny can't match the strength, but Keith is actually keeping up speed-wise with him. They're trying to trade shots. They're both missing. He does his like kind of karate, like jumping spin kick, but he misses. But he's just keeping up with him. Johnny goes for a suicide dive, but Keith catches him. As he's trying to powerbomb him, he kind of puts him on the apron. Sorry. Phone's going off. I'm gonna put this on silent. Someone was like, "Oh, keep it on," because other people do that, but I get too distracted. So he goes to try and powerbomb him. Johnny pulls the ropes, gets onto the apron, does a super kick, and then goes for like a rolling cannonball, but Keith catches him again. And then Johnny goes for the eyes, then tries to crush his hand again in the steps, but misses. Johnny tries to run into the house. For some reason, he forgets that he has the key in his pants, but makes sense later. And so he's trying to like bang on the doors if someone's going to let him in. We then get a shot from the doorbell camera, which is pretty cool, and we see him getting beat up by Keith Lee. So then Johnny finally gets some offense back in the ring, goes after the hand and the eye of Keith, bends the hand against the ring post, and he's kind of mad at the crowd that they're booing him. We get a Johnny Sucks chant to the Imperial March theme, which is pretty cool. Obviously, Disney Star Wars theme. Johnny, you could see he's smirking at that because he appreciates it. He then gets like a standing armbar on Keith Lee, and he's doing a joint manipulation at the same time to the hand of Keith Lee, and Keith Lee actually is able to just curl him with one arm, which is pretty crazy. We get Johnny Gargano Sucks to the John Cena theme, which is pretty cool. We then get a really cool sequence. Johnny hits a super kick, Keith Lee hits a headbutt, then goes for the Big Bang Catastrophe, but it's countered into a pinning attempt for a 2 count by Johnny. Keith is on the outside now. Johnny goes for a tope, and then instead of a suicide dive, hits a DDT on the outside. Has to break the count because Keith Lee is kind of like knocked out and he's too big for Johnny to pick him up and throw him out. So then as he's coming back out after breaking the count, he gets pounced through the plexiglass by Keith Lee, who's pretty rough. Candice comes out, to try and like distract Keith while he's trying to bring Johnny back into the ring. Mia Yim comes out and they start brawling. While the ref is distracted, Johnny goes for the key that was in his trunks and goes for Keith Lee's eyes again, and then does a slingshot DDT, which normally is his finish. I think it's One Last Beat, it's called. But he only gets a 2 count. He then hits 3 super kicks. After each one goes for a pin, gets a 2 count on each one. I mean, it's like Keith Lee is pulling a Johnny Gargano, just kicking out of everything. Then finally, Keith Lee hits a ridiculous spirit bomb where Johnny Gargano is like maybe like 15 feet in the air. It was ridiculous. Then hits a regular power bomb. Then goes for the Big Bang Catastrophe for the win. So Keith Lee retains the North American title, and I picked that even though I wanted hold on, where was I here? So I was a little unsure about this one. I only had 2 points, but I did pick Keith Lee. I wanted Gargano to win because I just don't think there's anything really for Keith Lee to do. But if they extend this feud, because I thought it was a really fantastic match between the two. I mean, obviously when you look at it, it's like how can Johnny keep up with Keith Lee? But he made it believable. But at the same time, it's a little tough because now it's like he had the eye thing, he had the hand thing, and he still couldn't beat him. So now where does Gargano go? But I'm sure they'll figure it out because they usually do for Gargano. So then we get Charlotte getting ready backstage. We then get, which I thought was a little interesting, the NXT Championship match, the Backlot Brawl, Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream. Overall, it was all right. As far as cinematic matches go, this was one of the weaker matches. There were a lot of things aesthetically I just wasn't really thrilled about. I think it was the right result. I think overall the match was all right. I just, even on this pay-per-view, it wasn't my favorite match. But it was fine. So we'll get into it. So really cool that Cole shows up in a souped-up monster truck decked out in Undisputed Era logos. Pretty cool. Then Dream comes in a yellow Lambo, dressed as Negan from The Walking Dead. Interesting. Not understanding the reference, but whatever. He had the bat, Lucille. Even more, Ronaldo said, which I was thinking, like Little Red Corvette. I mean, he had the whole thing with Prince just, on last week's NXT, the mirror thing, so it just make more sense, but whatever. The ref is there, says he's only there to count the 3, and the ending has to be in the ring. Other than that, everything goes. Tell everyone to enjoy the spotlight. Yep, that's my assistant. Lay down. Or just stare at me. Either or. It's fine. Part of the thing that I didn't like was, like, I did think it was kind of cool that there were, the cars were surrounding the ring. I just didn't realize that the headlights were going to be so distracting. I mean, there was a lot of times you, like, couldn't see things. It was almost like, you had to shield your eyes for a second. It wasn't really cool. I didn't really appreciate that. So Cole tells him to drop the bat, to find like a man. He does. Dream starts going for quick pin attempts. Cole tries to leave, and then he gets into one of the random cars, and then apparently there's no keys in the car, so he can't leave. Dream goes after the car with a bat, doesn't smash the windows though, which I thought would have been the smart thing to do. So then Cole gets out of it, and then another really stupid thing was that a car shows up going, did somebody call an Uber? It's like, yeah, you would know who called it because that's what Uber does. It has their name and probably their face on it. They could have just easily said, did somebody call for a cab? It just didn't make any sense. Like, we know how Uber works. We're not idiots. Uber's not just a random car service. So just the car showing up in general, just for them to fight through it, was dumb. And then adding the Uber line to it just made it even worse. Like, did they get some kind of like product placement for that? I don't know. It was just really dumb. So then Cole trying to get into the buildings, but he can't. You could tell this is some kind of like movie type set at Full Sail. They're obviously have a big film department. I guess they filmed some stuff out there. You could tell that the doors were fake and everything. And then all of a sudden, Dream apparently can't see where he's going, but it was this short little area there, and he was staring right at him, walking after him. And then all of a sudden, he can't find him. It makes no sense. Where there's no way Cole could have disappeared in front of Dream. He was literally staring. He was maybe 15, 20 feet from him. So anyway, he's grabbing at doors. Finally, he finds the one door that's open, walks in, gets hit with a fire extinguisher. Cole hits a super kick when Dream tries to jump on the apron. They fought back to the ring. He goes for a Panama Sunrise, except it's countered by a super kick by Dream. Cole gets laid out on a car. Dream sets up a ladder, and as he's about to jump from the ladder, you see these headlights that are focused right in Dream's eyes, and there's a bunch of honking. It's the Undisputed Era. Roderick Strong and Bobby Fish come out there. So they start battling. While that's going on, right before it happens, actually, they're battling. Cole tries to go up to the other side of the ladder, gets hit, falls through the windshield, gets his arm busted up. Undisputed Era start going on the attack. They lay out Dream. They go over to the monster truck and they start throwing all these chairs that were in the back of the truck into the ring. And for some reason, there's one chair that's on the ground, kind of half under the ring. I don't know how it got there. And Strong's like, I'm gonna go get that one because apparently they need that one more chair. And as he goes for it, he gets pulled under the ring. Emerges Dexter Lumis. Apparently the Tortured Artist now is his new tagline. He starts beating the crap out of both of them, throws them into the trunk of their own car, slams the trunk, and then speeds off, fulfilling the prophecy of his drawing back from NXT on Wednesday. We then get back in the ring with all the chairs there. Cole goes for a Panama Sunrise, but it's countered into a Dream Valley Driver for a 2 count. Then for some reason, Cole unfolds a chair, sits on it, and then gets a Purple Rainmaker while he's on the chair, only for a 2 count. Dream starts trying to talk some smack. Cole hits him with the low blow. Panama Sunrise on all the chairs. 1, 2, 3. Adam Cole, baby. He retains the NXT Championship again, and now as long as he's the champ, Dream can no longer fight for the title. Interesting. I think that's who I wanted to win. That's who I thought was going to win. And I had 3 confidence points on that. Interesting because because I was thinking about it. Why put that stipulation in if it's not going to mean anything? I don't know what this means for Velveteen Dream. I don't know if that means he's going to get called up. There's been rumors both ways. If he doesn't get called up, does that mean that they're going to take the title off of Cole sooner rather than later so that Dream could come back into the picture? Does he then go back to the North American title? It seems like it's a step down. Or does he find some kind of other feud to happen for a while? Because right now it would be him against the Undisputed Era still, maybe tagging with Dexter Lumis. I'm not sure. I think he would be better suited to get moved up at this point. But I do think it was an alright match. Obviously I'm a Cole mark, so I enjoyed that. But at the same time, it wasn't the best. There were a bunch of things that kind of bothered me about it. Could have been done a little better. We then get this Todd Pettengill bit, which was pretty cool. He was talking about all the merchandise and says you can get it at 900 WWE shop, and then apparently technology has wiped all of the 900 numbers out because that's what he used to throw to. He then says social media is going crazy, especially his favorite, the AOL chat, and then we get a shot of DX trying to use a computer, kind of like in Zoolander with Owen Wilson and Ben Stiller. The files are in the computer, which is pretty funny. The Road Dogg apparently knocks down a sign. I think that was on accident. For real, because he looked genuinely shook. He was like, "Whoops." So anyway, we then get Tommaso Ciampa versus Karrion Kross, which was, this was not what I expected it to be. Cross entrance still is awesome. It's a really cool entrance. I wasn't a fan of the crowd doing this kind of cult something kneel and pray chant. Seemed very manufactured, just very weird. Cross is basically just no selling pretty much almost the entire match. Ciampa goes for Willow's Bell. Cross fights out of it. Cross no sells some more, throws him to the outside, slams his neck and back on the corner of the apron. Just looked really rough. Obviously, anytime Ciampa takes a bump like that now, you get a little nervous because of the surgery. He's just doing some suplexes where he's just tossing Ciampa around. Gets some knees in the corner, goes for a Northern Lights float over into a huge clothesline. Ciampa finally gets some offense in, but gets a Willow's Bell for a 2 count. Goes for a fairy tale ending, but it's countered into a variation of the F5. And then he just hits a cross jacket, which is his submission on Ciampa, and passes out for the win. I mean, this was almost like a squash match. It was 6 minutes long. Ciampa completely knocked out. I mean, this is now another feud that he loses. He lost, obviously, the feud with Gargano, lost the feud with Adam Cole. I don't know where they're going with this. Is it going to be a crisis of confidence? I mean, there's been rumors that originally he was very much against getting moved up, but it sounds like he's kind of relaxed those kind of restrictions. I don't know. Obviously there's so many rumors of all these people getting moved up. Obviously they can't just completely deplete NXT like that. So I think this can go for another a match. I think maybe still build up Cross, but Ciampa kind of learns from what he did, and he realizes that he's going to have to get back to his roots of being really dirty heel maybe. So we then get a shot of Robert Stone looking like a drunk mess, looking like just he's lost absolutely everything. He's laying against the NXT logo. It's pretty funny. Who knows what's next for him. We then get our fantastic main event, the NXT Women's Championship, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai. Charlotte slides out originally, tells them to go at it. We get the "you don't go here" chants. Then Charlotte gets into the ring, starts dominating early on everyone. Eventually the two double team attack her. Rhea misses a cannonball on the apron, then thrown into the barricade by Charlotte. Io with a Rana from the apron, but Charlotte quickly gets back up and throws her into the post, and throws her into Rhea, and they both go into the barricade. Back in the ring, Charlotte with a Boston Crab on Io, but Io battles out. Io hits a 619 on Flair, does a Casadora foot stomp to Flair. Flair eventually gets a double spear on both of them, tries to pin them both, 2 counts on both of them. Goes for a double moonsault, but misses. Rhea puts the knees up. Rhea goes for a riptide on Io, but she counters that into a splash. Io then puts a crossface on Charlotte. Rhea breaks that up. Charlotte hits goes for a natural selection, but it's countered by Rhea. Io goes for a springboard on Rhea, and then a springboard drop kick, and then double knees in the corner. Flair hits a natural selection on Io for a 2 count. Goes for the figure 8 on Io, but Rhea pulls Flair out of the ring. Io hits a crazy suicide dive on Rhea. And then Flair throws Io through the window, because we were wondering who's going to go through that window. And there's an LED screen behind the window, so she goes through that, knocks out and breaks the LED screen. Then Flair and Rhea start battling. I think Rhea throws a potted plant at her, and they're fighting. And then all of a sudden, the spotlight hits. Io is on top of the set, does a huge splash on both of them, which is pretty cool. We get a holy shit chant by the crowd. She then back into the ring is about to go for a moonsault on Flair, but Rhea stops her on the top. Flair is sent to the outside. So then Rhea's on the top turnbuckle with Io. Io goes for a Rana. Rhea holds on to her. And then while she's kind of being held upside down, Flair comes in, hits a boot to Io's gut. She goes to the ground. Rhea with a super riptide from the top on Charlotte, but Io breaks up the count. She then goes for Io goes for a Casadora attempt again, but it's countered into the reverse cloverleaf. While she's doing that, Flair emerges from the bottom with the kendo stick, which is a pretty cool visual, and just starts attacking everybody. Eventually, Charlotte spears Rhea and then hits the figure eight. And while she's in the figure eight, Io hits a moonsault on Rhea, but it looks like her knees just go straight into Rhea's head. It looked pretty rough. I mean, we find out that Rhea supposedly says later on that she was all right, but it just looked really bad. But while she's doing that, she pins Rhea because Charlotte Flair's legs are kind of tangled from the figure eight, so she can't get out and break the pin. So Io Shirai is now your NXT Women's Champion. It's who I wanted to win because I think she deserved it. And with all the talk of her possibly leaving, I think this definitely gets her to stay. Clearly, we get the kind of ROH Japanese style victory with all the streamers going on. It was a great match. So now it kind of think about like what's next. Obviously, there's been some rumors Rhea might get moved up. Does Charlotte now go back to Raw now that she's no longer NXT Championship? We saw 6 of the best that NXT Women's Division has to offer. We still have also Chelsea Green. So it'll be interesting to see what happens now that Io is the champ. Obviously Flair could come back and say, you didn't pin me, which is like the typical. If a champion loses in a triple threat and isn't the one that pinned, you didn't beat me, so let's continue to have matches. I would like that. I think that Io should get a real match against Flair, without any shenanigans. That would be really cool. If not, Io is, kind of just a badass heel, and we'll see who she goes up against next. There, all 6 matches, I had 20 out of possible 21 points because I had Flair, I thought Flair was going to win. I only had 1 confidence point on it because I just didn't know. So I got 20 out of 21 points, which is basically as good as you can get with missing a match. And so I'll do my match of the night, which is this triple threat. I thought this triple threat was fantastic. Right amount of time, about 20 minutes long. There were a lot of opportunities for everybody to win. You really didn't know at any point what's going to happen. There were some great spots, especially that spot from the top of the, she goes through the window, Io, and then comes off the top for a splash. And then the moonsault. The moonsault was a little just because she, landed knees to Rhea's head, but it was still a cool finish. So there you have it. That is my recap and review of NXT Takeover in your house, the right amount of nostalgia. Overall, I give it a good remarks. I don't really have a rating system for these. Maybe I will in the future, but it was good. Not their best. Some things could have been better, but I really enjoyed it. Hope you did too. As always, my social media is down there. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that other stuff. And be safe out there. Love everyone. And bye now. Behind the scenes action. She's not so camera shy right now. All behind the scenes. Those are my comics, by the way, just in case you're ever wondering. I have a comic collection. Yeah, I'm a nerd. There's some Funkos. Some more Funkos. Kind of like an MTV Cribs version, except I have a not so fancy crib. No, that's about it.